Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Pabs, a Ricine VTuber and an artist, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of fan art. So recently, there was a cover of Donut Hole by Hachi that was released by Kromei and Mume. I'm interested in making some fan art of this, and as you can see right now, we've got everybody on nap time lockdown, more or less. I haven't gotten very far on the arrangement of this piece, but that's what I'm hoping to put some time into today. You know what I should do actually? I should start recording the time lapse because I feel like this one's gonna be, I don't know. It feels like it's been a while since I've made like a really technical piece that has tried to like challenge me. I say this as if I haven't been like completely slacking on art prospects 24/7 for like the past few months, probably? Are these proportions about right? 168 and 156. Yeah, those are about right. I had to Google the heights of like Kromei and Mume, and whenever I think about the canon heights for like Hololive members, it pisses me off a little. If I think about them for too long, it starts to make me angry, which is probably not a great sign. Okay, but yeah, I feel like you can already kind of see the idea that we're going for here. That triangle is new. What the hell's that? Oh wait, is that the cone? Okay, yeah, no, that's just a cone. I see. Okay, I was wondering, that triangle wasn't there before. I was wondering if something strange had happened in my absence from drawing. Here we go. There's probably a way to fine-tune the camera's position. Hang on. Camera position. There we go. 90. Focal point X, Y. I think both of these are fine. That being said, I do want to flip a couple of things. Can I just like, if I flip this over, oh, that's kind of nice. You know, just straight up mirroring it. That's not too bad. But yeah, the idea is basically that they're going to be lying down. And I haven't thought much further than that. That's a lie. I have thought further than that. Just not in detail. I do want to play around a little bit with like shadows and stuff in this particular one. Let's just drag her a little bit over here. And let's rework the pose for Kromei over here. Yeah, because I wanted to... She had this very specific pose in the MV that I thought looked really cool. I might actually need to mirror her as well. Hang on. There we go. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. I might make her like face upward a little bit too. In terms of like where her head is facing. Let's just bring this one up a little bit, and then... The shoulder. Okay, yes. Nice, okay, and maybe this arm just a little bit more relaxed. That'll do. May not have them fully intersect, though. That feels like it's not a great idea. Let's see, just bring them... Oops, messed up with the camera there. Clip Studio is kind of a strange beast in some regards, especially when you mess around with the 3D stuff. Okay. Maybe I can almost like relax the arm a little bit here. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. I don't like that it's cutting off her arm here, though. Maybe we can just... Oh, you know what? I bet the proportion... I try to, like, mimic the fact that Kromei's legs are huge in the mannequin, and I bet that's what's throwing off the proportions. Is there a way to... restore the proportions of everything? I think that'll do it. So now we just have to set our back up to 168, I think? I remember that being a pretty accurate number. I'm always a little hesitant to record the time-lapse from the phase when I'm setting up the mannequins, because something about it just feels bothersome, I guess. It's like the whole appeal of time lapses, in my mind, right, is that you kind of get a picture of like how the sausage is made, so to speak. But I feel like sometimes that isn't the most entertaining thing in the world. Or rather, it doesn't look as nice sometimes. I don't know, should we... Maybe I need to like set the opacity of these like even lower. 18% seems pretty good. I'm not interested in... For the mannequins, I don't want to mess around with their opacity. I just wish they were like a slightly less intense color. Well, maybe I can mess around with the light settings a little bit. Hang on. Interesting. Okay. Also further reinforces my theory that this arm does not look sufficiently relaxed. I don't know. Yeah, okay, I see the issue now. Just gotta rotate this part here. I really like the idea of it covering one of her eyes, though, kind of like she does here. Although I guess we could achieve that to some extent by manipulating the parka that she's wearing. That honestly does feel like a much less resource-intensive... Ooh, actually, that's kind of nice. But... Maybe just this here, and then this. Turn this way. No, that's gonna get it a little bit too far out. I feel like the shadows are misleading me now. I feel like maybe I should just let it rock. I feel like we've reached the point where that's the most proactive solution. That being said, there was a couple other things that I wanted to try with the way that I'm approaching this. I don't know, it's very exciting to me because I feel like it's been a long time since I have... Hang on. Ooh, actually taking out the shadows on the ground was pretty useful. But yeah, I feel like it's been a while since I've really tried to spend a lot of time on a piece, and I kind of missed that a little bit. We rocking with the Kromei today? Yes, ma'am! We're rocking out with our clocks out. That's how it goes. And the Mume. That's right. That donut hole MV was real. I don't know. I really liked it. I don't know. I wasn't like super aware of Hachi until like I was aware of like Kenshi Yonezu. And even then, once it took me like a long time to connect those dots. But like looking back, I feel like Kenshi Yonezu has had a generational run, not just as Kenshi Yonezu, but also because of the fact that he made both Donut Hole and Matryoshka. Like, as far as I'm concerned, if you have those two in your like repertoire, that makes you untouchable. Is this actually like a hooded parka or nah? Oh no, there is a hood. There is a hood. Changing the zeitgeist of the internet for a bit. That's... yeah, basically, yeah. like if you went back in time to like 2007, 2009, and you went to like a Vocaloid playlist that somebody made on YouTube. I don't even know if YouTube playlists were a thing back in those days. I don't remember. I was like 9 years old. But if you went back into that time and you found a playlist that didn't have like either Matryoshka or Donut Hole or like at least one Hachi song on it, it would have been that made them like a hipster kind of English Vocaloid fan. That feels very strange to say. As opposed to like the mainstream Vocaloid fan. Which I feel is something that I've heard get thrown around recently. Like, oh, wow, okay, so you only listen to Deco Nina and fucking... I don't even know who else would be in that. Mostly Deco Nina, I feel like, is like the quintessential like mainstream Vocaloid person nowadays on account of like... The fact that they're goated and they're very well known, but... What else? I was gonna say whoever made fucking Ghost Rule, but that's also Deco Nina. God, I'm trying to think really hard of like another really famous. I guess maybe the person who made a Magical Cure Love Shot would probably qualify. As like, you know, the most Sawtone, I believe their name is. But at the same time, like that's not. I feel like there's like different levels, right? There's like power levels of knowledge in a specific field, right? Like, and Vocaloid itself is an extensive field of knowledge. Not only due to like the differences in like producers and, you know, the voice banks and everything, but also like the fact that there's like subgenres, because it is just music. It's just music that has a bunch of different people working on it that are using the tools at their disposal for different means. I don't remember where I was going with this point, but basically yeah, no, I can't think of anybody else that like I would qualify as like a super mainstream Vocaloid producer. Right, okay. This is how parkas work. It feels very strange to just be like going directly off the 3D model. The tank of jackets. That's a really accurate way of saying it. Yeah, no. What is the DPS of jackets, if that's the case, then? Would it be like those sleeveless hoodies that I see all the time? I feel like that qualifies like the DPS of jackets. A windbreaker? I could see that, honestly. Like one of those like Gore-tex shell jackets that are very lightweight. Boy, let me tell you, learning what the word gore meant when I was like when I wasn't like super good at English, and then learning that there was a technology called Gore-tex, that gave me a very, very misplaced idea of like what the technologies involved, kind of how they intersected, and what they necessarily did. Like Gore-tex is, I don't know what is Gore-tex based on? Hang on, Gore-tex. Wikipedia. Gore-tex is hang on. Friggin' Akiba. Gore-tex is W.L. Gore and Associates trade name for waterproof breathable fabric membrane. Invented in 1969. Blocks liquid water while allowing water vapor to pass through and is assigned to be a lightweight waterproof fabric for all weather use. Huh. Well, so it's just named after a guy. What the hell? I decided to give one of these rods a huge stretch fast a jerk. That's not appropriate. That's not appropriate. I'm sorry. Look, it's right there. Apes and Dixon. You can't get mad at me for that shit. Let's see. Environmental and health concerns. Oh boy. What do I got here? Durable water repellent clothing. The versions that do not contain PFCs of environmental concerns are marketed as Gore-tex PFC EC free DWR. What? It lacks any form of oil repellency. Why would you need to be repellent to oil? Well, I guess just for cleanliness. Using other clothing. In more recent observations, expanded polytetrafluoroethylene has recently been used as a membrane implants for glaucoma surgery. Huh. Oh, that's really cool, honestly. I really like how freakish the membrane looks under a microscope. Neat. All right. I didn't know that it was just named after a guy. But yeah, gamers. Okay, so it is kind of like a solid. Okay, I'll approach it that way. Let's try this. Hey, that's a bit too much. What are the sleeves on these like? Is it just like a normal crochet sleeve? Yeah. Well, I mean, kinda. Oh, it's like one of those double ones where it's got like a normal sleeve, where it's got like the Gore-tex sleeve and then the crochet sleeves. I see. Okay, and then same dealio for the other arm over here. And then we can, oh, actually that's perfect then, because we can use the crochet knit over here to really emphasize that kind of like pinching motion with the hand. Okay, I'm down with that. Let's do that. And actually another thing we could do is probably just make the jacket more open on this side. And then make it less open on this side. Okay, yeah. Okay. Yes, okay. It is kind of killing me that like Kromei 100% has that shit on, but then like Mume on the other hand, I don't know why, but it's killing me that Mume has like these little like these like super tiny gym shorts. I don't know why the fit from the waist down on Mume is kind of killing me. I don't know, the shorts are very funny to me for some reason. Mume looks like she had the worst rep day at the gym ever. She couldn't break her record. She does very much evoke the disaffected random high schooler protagonist of an anime before like they get their superpowers and like they suck at track and field and they can't really like stack any paper in regards to like the shot put records. I don't know, it's just very the semiotics of it are fascinating and also really funny. I don't know who's gonna be like the first brave soul, the unknown warrior who is going to edit Kromei's fit from the donut hole MV to be like the ultra instinct Goku Supreme jacket. But now that I've spoken that into the world, I can't help but feel like it's only a matter of time till we see it happen. There has to be somebody who also had the same idea as me. Okay, then over here. The secret tip to like always be satisfied about like your gym rep record is to just not keep track of it. That's what I did. I just never used to like keep track of like, okay, today I can do 40 and yesterday I only did 36. I'm definitely getting stronger. I never did that, and because of that I feel like my own progress was very difficult to measure. Like I could feel myself getting stronger during the time when I went to the gym very regularly. There was a very brief period in my life where I went to the gym on a fairly regular basis. Yeah, just don't keep track and you'll improve. That's definitely how shit works. Never be measurable, never be consistent. Always just do whatever your beast soul tells you to, and you will succeed in life. Trust. Smart goals, more like fart goals. God. The thing about smart goals that always piss me off is that it really does work. Like, I don't know, sometimes it is good to know that like if you work in a way, in a specific method, like you will have better results, right? Because like well, maybe not scientifically, but just from my own experience, from the things that I've observed, when you are operating with like more measurable goals, it is easier to make progress on those goals. It is easier to achieve those goals. But it's also It also requires a fair amount of discipline. It also requires a fair amount of... What the... Oh, that's from the MV... Okay, that's from the little... I'm like, why? What's this? It's because I took this screenshot from the MV and that's why it showed up. I see. The fool here is me. But yeah, no. Like, sometimes you do wish that just, like, if you work harder, you will make your dreams come true. But the fact of the matter is you do need to be smart about, like, the... Like, if you want to make those dreams come true and you want to do it in, like, a feasible time frame, in, like, a fair amount of time, you do need to be very mindful. There needs to be a component of mindfulness in how you operate and how you try to achieve those goals. And it's very annoying because, like, you wish you could just, like, tackle them, right? You wish you could just, like, go in there and start kicking ass, but it's like, that's not how it works. So it's a little bit disappointing when it fails, but that's just how it is, I guess. Well, I guess you should be happy to achieve anything at all. Given this economy. Also, what I might do is I might just flip the wrist a little bit. There we go, so that the eye is more covered. The economy, am I right? Canned laughter. God. I wish it really wasn't as universal as it was, because then I feel like I could laugh about it a little bit more easily, but no, it really is just the economy. The S&P index looks like the... looks like... Somebody animated Bad Apple using, like, the S&P index, and it's crazy. Evergreen joke. For real. There has never been a situation where the economy isn't in a precarious situation. Which could mean nothing. Which could mean nothing. I mean, let's be for real. When was there a time when we weren't worried about the economy? Like, you can say, like, oh, during the 70s, during the 50s, during yada. But, like, I feel like even back then we were worried about the economy, just, like, in different ways. Never relax ever. That is the only evergreen joke. I did like an eye study the other day, didn't I? That might be helpful here. Yep. Bro, this part is really called the caruncle. What the hell is that about? Some kind of fantasy beast name. For real! The caruncle is something that I beat up for lunch money in Final Fantasy. Oh, this is looking without any support, by the way. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. Really want to emphasize strong collarbones, though. I don't know. I feel like the best way to emphasize that a character is, like, very tall and gangly is to, like, really show the strength of their collarbones. Really emphasize those suckers. Hmm. I feel like I'll need to worry about the hood in just a minute. Let me take a look at that eye reference once again. Hmm. I do want it to be, like, squinting. I do want her eyes to be definitely squinted. Like, like the light is in her eyes. But I don't want it to look unpeaceful, right? Like, in this one, it does look a little bit like a glare. And that looks really good with the motion and everything, but I feel I want this to be much more... I don't know, I want this to have, like, a very still feeling to it. No angry. And then there's a matter of the nose. I've actually been implementing a lot of, like, the nose tech that I learned last time into my drawing, so I'm feeling a lot more confident with them. I say as I immediately backpedal the entire nose that I was drawing. Sometimes confidence looks like caution. It'd be like that. Yep. I don't know, I feel like I really absorbed, like, the nose tech, but not really the eye tech. Okay, let's do a quick count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then that bottom part would be 6. Okay, so 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and then this top one would be 1. Okay, and then the arms, it's 1, 2, 3, 4. Some of these are kind of like bisected though. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so it goes like 1 from shoulder to around here. So from shoulder to, like, the top part of the bicep, that's 1. Then from bicep to end of bicep, that's another. There might be 4, actually. Then from the kind of, like, beginning to the forearm to the middle of the forearm, that's another. And we can call this last one its own little one. And in between all of these, they have, like, a seam in the middle. Got it. Okay. That's easy enough to understand. Okay, and then this last one here. Alright, how's it looking? Not bad at all. I do want to add a few more wrinkles, like where the hand is, for the clothing. I almost said for the clothing. New form of English wording just announced. That's right. For all the damage that the English language has done me, I wish to repay it tenfold. Your reckoning is now. We clothing it up. Yeah, right now the new water cooler talk is going to be like, clothing hard or hardly clothing. And you know, that's going to be a normal thing to say to your coworkers. Should I turn her head towards the camera after all? The fact that she doesn't have her little, like, upward sticking ahoge, it really does lend itself to a very defeated look, huh? I don't know, if she doesn't... When anime girls lose their antenna, it's like... I don't know, it's like seeing a flower wilted. Like, they are very clearly in distress. Like, oh my god, get that thing some quality soil and sunlight now. It's an indicator of their emotional state. Yup. Precisely. It always pissed me off a little bit that there are plants that, like, react poorly to more sunlight. Like, bro, that's literally your food. Machine spotted. Terminated once. Machine, turn back now. The hollowed something or other of this are not for your kind. God, it is crazy to... It does feel a little bit difficult to imagine life before Gabriel Ultrakill. I don't even like Ultrakill or Gabriel that much. But, like, that guy is, like, firmly rooted into my subconscious now. Haki does trick. I haven't actually even beaten Gabriel in Ultrakill. I've gotten to his level. I've gotten to, like, the first boss fight with him in, like, I think Lust or something? In Greed. I don't know, maybe Greed or Lust. But I haven't actually beaten his ass yet, which is a little bit embarrassing considering that it's like a meme. There's like memes in the Ultrakill community about how easy it is to beat his ass. But then, but then again, those guys are like mutant mentad motherfuckers who can, like, I don't know, coin shot with their minds, with their eyes closed. So maybe I should take what their assessment is of easy as, like, with a grain of salt. Particularly because, like, for a long time, Gabriel was the only dude who you could really bully. So yeah, maybe their idea of, like, what's easy and what isn't is a little bit skewed. The statistics are a little bit off. Okay, then over here. I will say, I do still have fond memories of playing Ultrakill and then refusing to use any of like the weapons in the arsenal normally and instead just like projectile accelerating my shotgun blasts because that was like my favorite thing in the world to do. It was like using one of those little stim toys. It just felt good. Okay, then over here. If you go faster, the gun shoots faster too. That's awesome. Another $1 trillion to Hakita Dev. Another $1 trillion to New Blood. Whatever happened to that fucked up isometric Fallout revival project that New Blood was working on? I feel like we haven't heard about that one in a while. They were very excited about it too. The thing is, I wasn't that excited about it because I feel like because I don't really like. This is going to be perhaps the most controversial statement I've made on stream. Despite having played them for like a lot, I don't actually like the isometric Fallouts all that much. Especially like the combat always just felt fucked up to me. Because like, listen, I have fun with them. I played them to completion. I enjoyed them. But like, New Vegas simply clears for me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I'm a fraud. I'm sorry I'm not super based like some of the people around me. But like, listen, my experience, right? To beat Fallout 2, I needed like a character build guide. Like I on stream, I have cleared Fallout 1 playing my fucked up jinxed luck 10 build that should have had the wonder of you just playing in the background the whole time. But in Fallout 2, I tried that shit and I got fucking jumped by the geckos in Klamath. That ain't right. They were like, listen, we have put so many guns into this stupid fucking sarcastic ass game full of references and shit, and you are going to use all of them. Never mind the fact that in like that in the very last town you can go to, there's like an entire side quest and section, and even in New Reno, there's like a section that is entirely revolving around martial arts and martial arts contests. Don't worry about that. Just keep leveling your gunplay, and eventually you'll just have the skill points to just contribute to that, because we will just give them to you. You can literally just, for no additional cost, just ask to train in unarmed, and we will just give you that. God, Fallout 2 is such a fucked up game. Not even in regards to like its contents, just like from a technical standpoint. What a fucked up game. Does the hoodie have like little adjustment straps? I don't think it does it? No. God, I should make an edit of like my of like the Jinx consequences in Fallout 1 set to wonder of you. That shit will do numbers on TikTok. You know, assuming there's like a market for TikToks about what, like 20 year. How old is Fallout 2? I feel like that was like late Fallout 1. Fallout 1, like late 90s, mid 90s. 1997. So that's okay. So it's 2025. So a 18-year-old game? Is that right? Hang on. 2025 minus 1997. Yeah, 28 year... No, I'm sorry. 28-year-old game. Damn! Fallout is old as balls! Ay, Dios. But yeah, no. God. I will say that despite the fact that it is old, Fallout still, and despite the fact that its balancing is still a little busted, Fallout does still clear for me. Like, the original Fallout is absolutely one of the greatest games ever made to me. Which I might be biased for because I spent so much of my like middle school time playing that game over and over ad nauseum. But I stand by it. Did I add Kromei's eyes? I did. I will say something that I really liked about the Donut Hole MV is this one that I didn't even notice upon first watching it. It's a very captivating MV. There is a split frame when like they are very close, when Kromei and Mume are very close to each other, and like in one frame they're looking down, but in the other frame they're looking at each other's eyes. That shit was crazy. That was artful. I will say, looking into... Because Donut Hole is a fascinating subject to me because of the fact that it had, like, a do-over MV. Like, a few months back, I think, I don't even remember when precisely, Hachi worked with, like, I think Godiva or something. Some random company published provided the funding to publish the MV. And it was just completely reworked to tell like an entire self-contained little story. And it was great. It looks beautiful. The animation is fantastic. And I remember reading like from an interview with Hachi / Kenji Yonezu / what have you. Whatever name they were using for that interview. They mentioned that the original concept for the MV was something more similar to like the reworked MV, where it was like almost like shonen battle series. And now that Kenshi Yonezu had these connections, this influence in the industry, it was much simpler to, oh yeah, that eye is like in a really messed up place, come to think of it. Hang on. Yeah, let's rework this a little bit. But yeah, it's very fascinating because like the MV that was released not too long ago was basically like Kenji Yonezu's run back of it. And I think that's really cool. I feel like that's a rare thing where you create something, right? Like I see this a lot, particularly because I really liked webcomics, where the author of the webcomic would publish a few chapters of like some of the most kino cinema you've ever seen, and then be like, "Hey, so about that, I'm gonna be restarting the story and telling it all over again because I didn't do it right the first time." And then you'd be like, "No," because like you were usually left hanging on some pretty important stuff when that happened. But the author would be like, "No, I'm restarting this shit. I'm getting my run back early." Yeah, no. As a creative, I understand you. As a reader, I want to kind of eat cement about it, but that's a skill issue. That's a me issue. In any case, hang on. Can I, like, hang on. Okay, here we go. Cut and paste, and then make a mask here. There we go. But yeah, you don't see people getting that run back very often, especially not successfully. So I'm really glad that that Kenji Yonezu was able to, or that Hachi was able to, you know, make sure that they could go forward without any regrets on that MV. Because usually it just leads to them deleting the old version and then never really finishing the new version either. So it's just like a net loss of information and creative availability. But in this case, it was just good. It ended well for everyone. So it's good to know that that can also happen. That good things can also happen for that in that regard. I made the face too wide. Hang on. I gotta unflip this first. Hair is very difficult to draw. I don't know, I feel like it's underrated as like something, as an objective of high difficulty. I don't know, there's this very interesting balance that is being struck here that is between like this very stylized, you know, very traditionally anime kind of hairstyle, but also it's behaving in a way that you can kind of see the influences of realism on it, and that's very cool. It's also very difficult to kind of like capture it, but again, skill issue. Okay, and then just... There we go. Okay, and then just maybe file off a little bit of the parts here. That looks about right. I don't know much about Norse runes. There's no but to that sentence. I just don't know much about Norse runes. There's a walnut. That's it. Hang on. Walnut. Let me take a look at that. Walnut. Whoa, just like Mega Man. Oh, it's that triangular one. Yeah. Alright, then... I was doing something. Right, her head. Hmm. Let's try this again a little bit. Hmm. Yeah, okay. This should work. Oh, actually, hang on. I was just messing around to test I could actually make marks on the mask area, but this could actually help a little bit. Hang on. I should save my work very soon, but not yet. Maybe something like this? Not looking too shabby. Oh, right, her eyebrows. I don't know why. Looking at her face like this, it looks a little bit more like Fauna. I think I need to make her face just a tiny bit sharper. I think it's a little bit too round as it is. Something about the hair ornament and the way that the hair is falling on her head make me think of Fauna for some reason. Neck might be a little bit too long. Let's just bring this whole party downstairs just a tiny little bit. There we go. We could try to bring her just a little bit further up. Now we have a better barometer of where her hair is lying. Okay, about here. Please don't make me draw her tiny little shorts. I don't think I don't think I could take it. Okay, I'm gonna have to draw like just a snippet of the shorts. The slightest peak of the shorts. I'm gonna need to draw the implication of the shorts being there. There, that's like literally it. That's the whole thing of the shorts that I'll have to draw. Actually, what I could do is I could just make her grab the hoodie here. That'd make a lot more sense, just in terms of like where everything is placed. Okay, then like this. I'm gonna decrease like the volume of her hair just a tiny bit. And make it taper down a little bit more aggressively. Yeah, I think decreasing the volume makes it a little bit more obvious who this is supposed to be. Maybe I'm overthinking it. The color palettes are going to be what decides this in the end. In the... I don't know, why does her face keep reminding me of Fauna? This is actually making me a little bit concerned for my own mental health. What's wrong with me? She's gone, man. Like, she's already gone. Everywhere I look, I see her. My ass is straight up doing that shit that, like, I don't even remember his name. Ryan Gosling was doing in Blade Runner. I don't know why it's happening to me. It's not like I was the world's #1 fauna head or anything, but I don't know. Like, something about this look is just... I don't know. Spooky. Maybe around here? It really does feel a little bit like I'm trying to brute force the eyes here. I feel like I'm close, though. It's very frustrating. Okay, wait, no, hang on. I think I've got it now. I just need to move this one upward. Yeah, okay, I think that did it. Maybe a little bit to the left, too. Maybe if I use the liquefy tool a little bit on this section here. Okay, I think that's pretty good for just like the baseline. I should save my work. And I should drink some water. It's been a minute since I've done that. But yeah, it's crazy to think that we have no idea what Fauna's up to or what she's been doing since she left the organization. Nope. No way of knowing at all. Sometimes I can still hear her voice. Yeah, it's very strange. The other night I had this weird dream of like there being a plush, but it was already sold out. Which could mean nothing. Alright, let's see. Oh yeah, actually, before I do that though, there was this thing that I've been meaning to try. So I've been wanting to try out a new thing when I am drawing. And that is to start working on the shading much earlier. So first of all, let's combine these guys actually into like one unified line art layer. This should be pretty easy to see. Or actually, maybe I should make it darker. I can always invert it later. Okay, and the idea was that I would use... It'd almost be like a chopping here. Maybe a little bit further. No, maybe a little bit like more like this. But yeah, I'm trying to be more strategic with how I plan out my art. And I feel like this is going to be a step forward towards that. Okay, what is causing the line break? Did this? Oh, it's this part for sure. Yeah, no, it's gotta be this part. Sometimes it's like, sometimes when you're using the fill tool, it's like, oh man, I know exactly where the problem lies. But then other times it's like you have a cork board and a bunch of pins leading absolutely nowhere. Actually, decreasing the luminosity would probably be better for this. But yeah, it's mostly just to plan ahead in regards to just how everything's going to stack together. I'm trying to, again, being mindful sucks, and it's very difficult to do and to put into practice, but it does have really good results, so I'm going to try and do it. Oh, that's weird. Oh, there we go. That's better. Okay, and then just like that, and then over here. This seems pretty good. Okay, then over here. A little less sharp here. This would probably go a lot more smoothly if I wasn't using a single colored shade. But it's a little bit too late for regrets. And actually, what we could do is just also offset the shadow a little bit here. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be much more productive than... Yeah. Okay. That's looking pretty sick. Upstream's going well, Pabs. The art is looking sick. Thanks, Mielita. Thanks for swinging by. Honestly, I'm kind of feeling myself with this like method of trying to like shade before I start coloring. I don't know. This is feeling really good. I'm liking the dividends that this is paying. I will say, the best trick that I've still learned yet is to just like blur the sketch layer before I start the line art. I don't know what it is about that just makes my life so much easier. Maybe I should use a slightly smaller brush for the actual line art. Love your little gift, Tuber. Thank you. I don't know. It's been... I don't know how many months it's been since I made this one. And it was on a whim, but it's been really... I don't know, it's really been speaking to me. It's... The kind of like little scrunkly art style has just been really treating me well. Oh yeah, I meant to tell you this as well. The 3D paint model that you've made for your PNG tuber looks sick as hell. That you made that look so easy. Love the squish and squash for real. The squishing and squashing really is the best part. But you know, that the model you made in 3D paint is incredible. Great work on that. And the fuck the video where you're like, oh, that's just Otis. That means a lot, where? Yeah, no, be proud. That was some great work. Happy Trans Day of Visibility to Otis, who is a secret trans icon, I suppose? Fascinating implications about, like, the themes of, like, masculinity and such in Barnyard, the movie. Let's see. Otis is his trans dad. Mm-hmm. It is always really funny when, like, there is a very obvious, like, transgender thing going on with the character, but, like, that's not why they're in conflict with, like, their family. Like, in One Piece, how Yamato is like, you know, I'm a guy, I am very much a transgender man, and like, that's not the problem that Kaido has with him. The problem is, like, he doesn't want to be the Shogun, and it's like, the implications of that are really funny. I don't know why. You can be a man as much as you want, son, but as long as you help me take over and militarize this small country. The one fucking picture that I still can't get out of my mind, which is really killing me, is that one of, like, Mob being like of like fucking Reagan being like, ah yes, periods, I am familiar indeed, and Mob is like, Shisho, you got periods? Yes, but not anymore. Don't tell anyone, by the way. Shisho was pregnant. Ay. I don't know why. There's something about, like, a character assuming another character is pregnant that's just very peak comedy to me. Hey, Leo, how you doing? Leovito. I'm imagining like Leov, but like he's been hit like with the Mario shrinking beam. You know, like he got hit by like a Goomba or something, and now he's just small. He's just like been reduced until he gets a mushroom. Got chiles rellenos. Ooh, that sounds good. No toys. Actually, hang on. I don't remember what a chile relleno looks like. I can kind of picture it. Oh, that looks really good. Oh, that looks really, really good. Okay, so it is just very much un chile relleno. un chile que ha sido rellenado. I'm small until I get my Pikmin giant mushroom. That's right. Okay, and then over here. Fingers are a lot like riding a bicycle in that, like, I feel very confident in drawing them until, like, I have to really think about, like, the individual joints and such, and then it just starts getting messy. Cheese, that's right. I don't know how like, humanity didn't discover this sooner, but cheese plus, like, any spicy kind of additive, any kind of spicy seasoning is top one food. Absolutely. Without a doubt. Cheese plus spicy plus cheese, that's right. I should save my work. I said cheese twice. I thought that was on purpose. You should have let that one rock. I for sure thought that was on purpose. Cheese, tomato plus spicy? Oh yeah, I know. Maybe a little bit of onion in there too. Why not? What the hell? I'm not driving tonight. I remember that when my mother and I went supermarket shopping, she would always like make me fetch 3 specific things: tomate, pimiento, y cebolla. The like trinity of Latino cooking. You know, not including garlic, but like tomate, pimiento, y cebolla. Damn right. Mm-hmm. Honestly, just adding. I feel like one of the greatest life improvements or like quality of life improvements that I've made myself that is like very small but noticeable in terms of like the dividends it's paid is just keeping a bag of frozen onions in my freezer at all times. That way, if I just ever need to like add a little extra bonus to any dish that I'm cooking, just fry up those onions, caramelize them a little bit. Great stuff. Yeah, I know. You got like 30 recipes off of those 3 alone. You know, and you got some proteins into the mix. You got some other vegetables into the mix. The world is your oyster. Genuinely. Okay, this is going to come in over here. I was surprised. The other day I tried to learn how to make butter chicken, and I was surprised that that there are like cashews involved. How's it going? I just got lunch. Nice. I've been doing pretty well, honestly. Today it's been a little bit uneventful, but in a good way. You know, nice and relaxed. I went to the farmer's market with a buddy of mine in the morning. That was fun. I think after that I basically crashed on my bed until it was time for stream. I'm kind of surprised, but not really, because it's Indian food. They are really creative with their uses of spices and other condiments. They are like light years ahead of some other countries' technologies when it comes to food. I've been very desperate to fill out, like, when I got a new phone, I also naturally got a new phone case. And because of that, the case itself has a slot for a phone charm. I've been dying to add something to it because I don't have, you know, I haven't had a phone charm in ages. I think the last time was when I was in like middle school. You know, it's almost like a novel experience for me. So I've been trying to find something to use as a phone charm. Make a tiny clay Pabs. That might not be such a bad idea, honestly. Because the thing is, I try to look on, like, online shopping websites, right, for, like, phone charms, that it's all very generic stuff that I don't really find the appeal of. Or it's, like, phone straps rather than a charm. So I might have to DIY this thing. I might have to resort to DIY. And just make the little charm myself. But yeah, out of perhaps desperation, I did get myself like this tiny felted snail that is like the size of my fist to use as a phone charm, which in retrospect might not have been my brightest move on account of the fact that it's huge and like would not very easily fit into my pocket. But I felt good about my decision at the time. Can't get the tasty good stuff like in the early 2000s. That is precisely the issue that I'm finding. You understand my problem on a very fundamental level, in that, like, you know, in the early 2000s you could get, like, I don't know, you could probably like trip over the number of Naruto keychains that there were out there, or like, I don't know, Dragon Ball, Goku, whatever. But nowadays you don't see it so often. And it's caused a little bit of a problem for me in the present moment. I don't know, I could go to a comic book shop. I bet they have a load of phone charms. There's also a convention in the fall near where I live, where I could try to snag a couple, and I think that's going to be my best bet for now. I'm not really going to keep my phone in my pocket for very long periods of time, so I don't foresee the snail being a particularly difficult thing to live with. In fact, it might probably be quite to my benefit, on account of the fact that I lose my phone among my sheets and other stuff very frequently. There's no more whimsy and love. It's all mass consumer. Yeah. I mean, it was also mass consumer back then, but I just feel like consumers had perhaps better taste. Can I see a picture of the snail charm? You know what? Why not? Hang on. Give me like 30 seconds. Okay, hang on. Okay, I got my charm, and I am currently taking a picture of it. Hang on. Okay, share through, let's say Discord. Here we go. All right. let me just pop this sucker open. There we go. Can you see it? So for reference, this is about like palm-sized, maybe. This is about the size of my palm. Yeah, I might need to blow dry the antenna a little bit. As it is, they're kind of they're kind of wonky looking. Yeah, no, it is kind of huge. It is it is like a solid 40% of my phone's screen size. In my defense, at the time of the purchase, I hadn't had breakfast yet, and I feel like that's a solid 40% of my brain power. Also, your appetite? Yep. Are you implying that I got myself a too big phone charm because I was hungry? Like, man, this snail looks so good I could eat it. I should just attach it to my phone instead, though. You needed 2 sandwiches. Yeah, I actually got myself 2 samosas at the farmer's market, and I ate both of them in short order. I think that's when the buyer s'mores actually hit. God, it has been a long time since I've like treated myself to a decent samosa. There used to be a place near my office that did really good samosas, but unfortunately they did shut down sometime back in like 2023, I want to say. So they have been out of commission for some time. It is kind of a tragedy when you lose a good workplace lunch site. Like, I haven't really found a place to well, no. I briefly found a place to replace it that did, like, nice sandwiches. But unfortunately, they also shut down. And I think that was sometime in 2024. So now I just don't have a place to eat, really, when I'm at work. So I'm either gonna need to get more disciplined about, like, putting together my work lunches, or I'm gonna need to, like, find a new place nearby. It is kind of fucked that all of the main options for me right now are like the cafe that is inside in like a hotel lobby or a Tim Hortons, and I feel like if I eat Tim Hortons for lunch every day or like on like a weekday basis, I do fear that I'm going to have like some kind of metamorphosis into like a traditional Canadian lumberjack. I don't know. I feel like the Canadian, like whatever latent Canadian mutations have affected my gene pool already. Like my kind of like physiology will be just amplified. I'm gonna start wearing toques. It'll be like the T-virus from Resident Evil, but like for becoming more Canadian. Which maybe I should exploit once I'm actually trying to get my citizenship, but that's at least in like a couple of years. Gonna start pronouncing your O's as ooze. Quite possibly, eh? I don't know. I already apologize quite a lot, so I feel like that particular stereotype's already been kind of ingrained within me just by nature. I'm surrounded by Canadians, and whenever they say "ooh," I just repeat it like a parrot. I should start doing that. Like, so, the thing is, it does sneak up on you, even if you've lived here for a while, because, like, sometimes I will hear somebody pronounce something in a very Canadian way, like, they will very strongly enunciate a boot, and I will, like, have to, like, restrain myself from commenting on it. It never goes away. It's like it's just in the background, like some kind of deep sea submarine eco-locator kind of thing. Sonar. I once scared someone I just met by asking them if they were Canadian. They were, only because I heard the ooh. God. Sometimes it is just very scary when somebody clocks the hell out of you. Not even in like a, oh, I was trying to keep this facet of my identity hidden kind of way, but just in like a more general kind of way. Like somebody was able to like Sherlock style deduce some shit about you just very easily. Like you with your old Chinese man aura. That's literally it. I have to ask to collab with that at some point. I feel like they have like I would love to dig into their brain more to understand how they clocked that about me. They said I will never forget that they said that I had the aura of somebody from Yunnan. Yeah, that is a frighteningly good guess. It is. I am very glad that I don't share that particular bit of lore about me nowadays because I feel like it's such a nice thing to just like whip out every now and again. You know, it's like a fun little surprise for everyone. And it's fair now too because like now I've spent almost as much time in Canada as I have like outside of in like other places of the world where I've lived. Yeah, it's like rare lore. Now it's like a nice treat to know about me rather than like the awkward response of when somebody asks like where are you from? Where are you from is such a complicated question for me to answer. Like politically, my passport says I'm from Ecuador, but the real answer is probably more complicated. And I mean, like, the back of my t-shirt says made in Taiwan, so who really knows what's going on? Okay, where are you from? My mama. That would honestly be kind of a devastating setup to a yo mama joke. The only issue is that it doesn't really conceivably work in any context unless you're siblings with that person, in which case they probably wouldn't ask where you're from. Feels like a bit of a missed opportunity, frankly. That's true, but I'm cheeky like that. I hadn't considered that. Sometimes a bit is powerful enough that it doesn't need to make sense. I've realized recently that sometimes that the purpose of jokes, right? Like, it's a little bit of a waste to tell a joke in a situation when no one's going to understand the joke. But at the same time, sometimes you have to tell the joke anyway. I feel like that's what preserving my honor means to me as a comedian. That's how I'm going to live with integrity as a comedian. God, I really am glad that I never became a stand-up comedian. I feel like I have the right skill set for it, but I feel like the damage that it would have done to my soul is, like, irreparable. I got no build-up to jokes, I just say stuff and sometimes people find it funny. It is like that sometimes. I feel like that is also a strong... Like, sometimes you just gotta let your observational skills really take the wheel. Let's rework this part here. I love Kromei's huge hair vents. Hair vents are such an important charm point, I feel like, that have become somewhat depreciated in modern society. But I feel like they've also, like, they've gained value as well now because of their rarity. I wonder if they dust them. Yeah, maybe it's kind of like how you have to clean your computer sometimes, where you have to use, like, those cans of, like, pressurized air and stuff to really get the dust off the fans. Now everything's so round and flat. Yeah. I miss the crazy hair. You do still see it sometimes, though. And, like, hang on. I want to show you a picture. I've recently read the entirety of Hajime no Ippo, and hang on. I want you to take a gander at this dude's head of hair. Get a load of this guy. What the fuck were they cooking with this guy? Like, look at the... They're straight up like barnacles. And the funniest part is that, like, he has to, like, get that haircut of his specifically styled, because, like, during a match, during the boxing match, he did like have to undo his hair for a little bit, and it normally looks like this, but he goes to a hairstylist to get it like bunched up like this for some reason. I respect it, low key. I don't know why he thinks it looks good. But, you know, that's how it is, I suppose. When you're, like, at, like, the world championship levels of boxing, you can do basically whatever the fuck you want, and nobody can really tell you no, because, like, I feel like they're probably scared. God, Evo is such a fantastic series. Also, I need to put the hair vent a little bit sharper over here. There we go. I think I need to put this collarbone a little bit further to the left as well. A little bit like this. Oh yeah, that looks much better. All right, the next up. I like that I erased the shadow on the eyes here. It looks very creepy with the blurred out reference. Creepy, but very good. I don't know. Usually these outfits have some kind of really complex design about it. So it's very refreshing to see VTuber characters just wearing very casual clothing. That reminds me. There's something weirdly fascinating whenever characters who are normally, like, armored don't take the armor off, but still wear, like, casual clothing. Like, I remember there was this one game called World Flipper, where one of the characters was this very, very traditional, like, plated armor knight dude. And for, like, the beach event, I think they just literally gave him beach trunks over the armor, and I thought that was the best shit ever. I thought that ruled. Or like having like a cool jacket or a coat over the armor is also really nice. But yeah, you gotta love it. I am one of those people who is of the opinion that, like, whenever you have a character who is normally shown wearing a helmet, they lose like 20% of their handsomeness whenever you take the helmet off. I don't know what it is about it. And this is something that I've seen a lot of people express as well. So I feel like it's not that weird to have this emotion about it, but like with John Halo, right? Master Chief. If I saw Master Chief without his helmet, he would just be some guy to me. It's the helmet that makes him Master Chief. Same thing for Doom. Well, no, actually for Doom Guy, the situation's a little bit more nuanced. No, that doesn't work. It's a little bit more nuanced because you do actually see his face at the bottom of the screen at all times. But I feel like because that's such a strange little abstraction of like an otherwise helmeted character, it almost doesn't feel like his face. Like that guy and Doom Guy almost feel like unrelated. It's like Perry the Platypus. It is precisely like Perry the Platypus. It is straight up like Perry the Platypus in the scenario, this precise scenario that I'm describing. Yeah. Well, no, it's kind of the reverse. No, I mean, kind of. I want to say it's like the reverse of Perry the Platypus because, like in Perry the Perry the Platypus bit is that he's not recognizable until like he puts on the fedora. But like this is almost like if Perry the Platypus was like almost always in fedora and then took it off. Well, no, I guess that is kind of the same thing then, isn't it? Same thing happened when I was drawing my SAR friend. He wears a mask, but I didn't draw it yet. I couldn't tell it was him until I added it in at the last second. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's just how it is. That's exactly how it is. Also, I might thin out Mumei's neck a little bit here. And also lower the collarbone again for her. Yeah, we gotta put my stuff away and make a nice coffee. Very nice. Enjoy. Good luck. It is. I will say that it is kind of a cool experience whenever you're drawing something and like it doesn't feel like it comes together until the very last second when you add a final crucial detail, and then it's like, yes, this makes complete sense. I don't know. It's almost like the last piece in a puzzle. Just feels very satisfying to finally put it together. Okay, and then the hair over here, that's gonna go like that. Maybe more like this. I've been experimenting a little bit with like the maximum width of the pens that I've been using, and it's been going quite well. I don't know, maybe I used to have better control over the width of the lines that I used to make, but now I feel like I've rectified that. Just by limiting how big the maximum output is. So maybe, right now it's at 110, so maybe I should set it down to like 108. So the thing about auspicious numbers, right? Like 108 is an auspicious number, I believe, from Buddhism. Which is cool and all, but I feel like sometimes it's a little bit strange trusting in those numbers when you're trying to like when you're trying to do settings, because like sometimes I did do like, oh yeah, I'll just make it like multiples of 7 and that'll make it feel luckier. It felt like some kind of very benign superstition, but I didn't like doing it. I don't know, something about doing it felt wrong. But the thing is that sometimes it does work. Right, like for example, right now, 108 seems to be going pretty well for me. It's doing precisely what I wanted it and intended it to do. I don't know. It's almost like getting the answers too easily, you know? It's like you try something on a whim and you get it right on the first time. There's almost like a lack of satisfaction from that. Like it was too easy. Well, I guess it's a good thing if you pass on your first try no matter what. But yeah, it feels like there's... I don't know, if you do it haphazardly like that and it still works out, it works out, but at the same time it feels a little bit unsatisfying because there wasn't like any real rigor behind it. I guess you could satisfy that kind of neurosis by just trying out a couple of different ones anyway, even though the first one looks good. And that way, I feel like that you can kind of avoid that concern just by confirming it you know, with a little bit of a little bit of the empirical method. Come on, there we go. Just a little more. Let me think. God, I was actually thinking about trying to play through the Master Chief Collection at some point. But first of all, now I think Microsoft is like a boycott target, so that would be against the spirit of things. But also, like, I keep hearing about how nowadays most series related to that kind of period of Microsoft are pretty washed. Like there was some hype around a game called Marathon that a lot of the friends that I know of in V server were very excited for, or rather they were hoping that the series would make a comeback, and it has, as an extraction shooter, which is apparently kind of bumming them out, which is understandable. Like any like story-driven game that is turned into like a live service game is like seeing the corpse of a relative shambling around. Okay, then over here. I was about to say, like, if they brought back like Fallout as a live service game, I would be pissed. But then I remembered that Fallout 76 exists, and then I got and then I started to stop being angry, and then I started being a little bit sad. Shit was like Levi's jeans; they came pre-washed. That's not true. I from what I've seen of Pearl's playthroughs, Fallout 76, it does seem like it's quite a good bit of fun, especially now that they've reintroduced NPCs to it. But still not enthused to play it. I want to make her fingers look more gentle. I want to make Kromei's look like very knuckly and like... Yeah, I guess that's the key driving term is knuckly. Like I really wanted to emphasize the knuckles. I think that came through much better on this top hand than on this bottom hand. Hey, it is about time I started doing more hand studies again. What I could do as well is just move this part of the hoodie, because right now there's a tangent from one side to the other, which makes it look like the hoodie is extending into the hair over here. So I think one really quick way to fix that is to just append the hoodie over here and curve it inward like this. God, I still got a long ways to go for some of this stuff. Better lock in. So who's Kromei? Oh, that's the name of these two. So this one, the one on the right here is Kromei, and the one on the left is Mume. Since they're collaborating, the names got mixed together. They're VTubers from Hololive. And then over here. There we go. Pabs, what's your favorite Chiikawa character? I don't know much about Chiikawa actually. I haven't looked into that little beast. Hang on. Let me take a look into the character listing for Chiikawa, and I can give you a more solid answer. All right, let's take a look at these little beasts. Okay, explore, wiki content, characters. There's Chisa. Hang on. Characters. Here we go. Pajama party. This one's just an entire dude? What the fuck? Pochette, or Ponchet Yoroi-san, is a street vendor who enjoys creating and selling cute products. This dude's got it going on, I'm not gonna lie. What's with all the Yoroi-sans? He made PJs for everyone. That's really cute. Seriously, what's with all the Yorois? Oh, they're humans, I see. Okay, so there's Rako, a strong sea otter who is good at hunting. Okay, so Anoko, a hostile monster living in the Chiikawa world. Okay. I love Momonga, they're just like me for real. I kind of like this guy. I'm kind of rocking with this dude's look. Labor Yoroi, a job recruiter who manages working positions for the cute creatures. They got capitalism in this fucking universe. He's a drunk uncle. Aww. A type of armor in Japan, hence the name. Oh, that makes sense. Usagi. Known to enjoy teasing Chiikawa amongst other individuals. Sometimes their provocations are not necessarily intentional or playful, as seen when they ignore Momonga's demands to leave their magical rice cooker alone, aggroing the latter. Momonga. Often seen begging for attention and praises, stealing food, and causing trouble for other characters. God. Funny ass creature. Fearless. A light beige body. He often acts like a middle-aged Japanese man, typically seen eating snacks or drinking alcohol, after which he makes a very loud sigh. Reports are coming in that he might be just like me for real. DM'd you a video of him. Let's take a look. Hell yeah, I don't need to know anything else about this guy. He's eating a taco and drinking a lime Corona. This guy rules. Hell yeah. He enjoys watching meat-cutting videos in the net cafe. He has a liquor license, which he temporarily loses due to drinking without it present, though he gains it back. He sometimes appears blue in the face when he is hungover in the morning from a night of drinking. It is really funny that this dude's character appears to be a raging alcoholic. But I'm kind of rocking with him. I do feel a sort of affinity with him and his love of life. Like, brother's just down to eat food and rage hard. I feel a sort of connection to him in this regard. Okay, then over here. But yeah, for some reason, I've started seeing a lot of Chiikawa popping up. Like, I saw, like, memes of the Chiikawa characters once upon a time, but I didn't really, like, know it was, like, a media franchise or, like, an anime. Thought you would be like Hachiware, but the drunk uncle calls to you. Low key, yeah. Hang on. Actually, I didn't get to Hachiware's page. Let me check out Hachiware real quick. We could do one more beast for the roundup. Mini episodic series. Hachiware is a cat with blue ears and Chiikawa's best friend. Known to be cheerful and positive, they have an interest in reading books and a rather competent vocabulary for a child of their age. Huh? They are also the most extroverted of the trio, often speaking on both theirs and Chiikawa's behalf, easily striking up conversation and making friends with fellow animals and Yoroi-sen. God. Hachiware is the only character in the main trio who communicates in standard Japanese. Hachiware's fluency in Japanese is comparable to that of a young child's, and they are notably the most talkative of the three main characters. Like a child, they occasionally make mistakes in their readings of certain words. Mispronounces Charumera as Karimera in episode 136. Hachiware introduces Chiikawa to a store they call Okashi no Machi Oka, misreading it as Candytown Oka. In reality, the name of the store is simply Okashi no Machioka. Ah. There's almost 300 episodes, but they're all a minute long. God. Hachiware lives in a cave because they cannot afford a house. Oh my god. They passed the 5th grade pulling weeds test. King, I guess? Man, I remember some kids who didn't pass the weed pulling test in 5th grade. Nothing really bad happened to them. They just had to retake the test. I don't know. I'm personally not that skilled at pulling up weeds. He passed a level 5 pulling weed test, but Chiikawa failed. It was so sad I cried. That does sound rather heartbreaking. It is sad when two people can't advance together. You know, you worked so hard, you pushed each other to your limits, and now one of you has to leave first. It is rather sad, honestly. Wasn't aware to the deep and sensitive side of Chiikawa shorts. What do I do when I'm happy but my friend is sad? Oh. Baby's first social conundrum. I was about to call it a moral conundrum, but it's not really moral in nature. This is just kind of like something that happens sometimes. Although that is a good question. Like sometimes it is difficult to understand the degree of propriety. I guess it's a lot about reading the room, right? When like something good happens to you and you want to be happy about it, but like your friend is really going through it. I feel like this hair strand's probably a little bit too long, isn't it? Just a little bit too long. Hang on, we can probably fix that up. There we go. I got a little bit of the Chiikawa brainworm. There's a lot of that's been going around. Like I said, I feel like I was vaguely aware of Chiikawa before, but recently it feels like it's really started becoming much more popular. And I don't know why. Probably some YouTuber got into it and it started spreading like a plague. And I'm crawling into all my friends' ears! You know what? My brainstem has been looking a little bit too solid recently. I should try to tap into some short-form video content. It's because Jaden Animations made a video about it. And now the pieces come together. Okay, now shit is making more sense. All because she wants Chiikawa merch in the US, and honestly, she's so real for that. If you have clout as like a content creator, you know, filthy of a word as that is, if you have that kind of clout as a content creator, you need to abuse that shit for your own benefit to some extent. This is like the least evil abuse of authority of influence that I've heard of in a while. Like, yeah, that is real as hell. Like, there's people out here trying to influence election cycles and shit, and she just wants merch of this funny little animal character. What? Like, yeah, that's awesome. That's so valid. She was tired of scalpers on eBay? Very valid. Yeah, don't doubt the power. Yeah, don't doubt the power of, like, the influence that certain people can have on you. Because I remember the other day, I was trying to shop around for different types of deodorant online. And I remember, and one of the suggestions that I got was for a deodorant that I saw that somebody had reviewed once, Like some other VTuber had reviewed this deodorant and was like, "This one smells super good." I'm like, "Damn, I should get that one." And then after I clicked like buy now, I felt like fooled. I felt like I had been, you know, I felt a little dirty. Yeah, precisely. Sheep emoji. That is exactly how I felt. I'm like, damn, I'm not immune to propaganda at all, dog. Yeah, like... I don't know, it's a very strange thing to be freaked out about, because like that is kind of like the purpose of it to some extent, but like at the same time it's like it wasn't even a sponsored stream, and that's the only solace that I have, is that the stream that I remember watching wasn't even like a sponsored one. So it's not like I was like I got like propaganda beamed, but at the same time it doesn't feel very good. You know, it doesn't have to be propaganda for me to fall to propaganda, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. It felt like I gave up a little bit of my integrity. The deodorant's arriving tomorrow, so I guess I'll have to see then whether that was the right decision or not. If it's something sponsored, I'm like, ew, I never want that thing. But if it's mentioned by a random person, I'm like, oh yeah, give me that. That is true. I feel like there's like a very much flirting versus harassment kind of argument to be made when somebody is like endorsing something for money versus like when they offhandedly mention it. You know, it's like that idea of like being curated versus it being like advertised to you. It's quite a strange phenomenon. All right. The line art is ready. I want to decrease the folds a little bit on the parka here because I feel like it's kind of distracting how many there are. Hope your deodorant is good and doesn't hurt you. I also hope it doesn't hurt me. My main concern now is, well, obviously, first of all, if it smells good, because I'll be really pissed if I think the smell of it is mid, but this person told me that it was peak. That's the point of contention number one. Point of contention number two is if it doesn't leave a lot of stains. I'm not somebody who has like skin that's particularly sensitive to deodorants, is what I found. Like I thought I did at one point, but it turns out I really don't. And that's a good thing, but like at the same time, it's like there was like this one deodorant that I got from this company called like Nature, and it was like this charcoal deodorant, and it smelled really nice. I love the way that it smelled, but it did like when I put it on, it did end up causing like huge white stains on all the shirts that I put on afterwards, on the armpits, which was a suboptimal consequence. And yeah, I wasn't very pleased with that. But yeah, and so now I'm just trying to find a deodorant that is both nice and smells nice and doesn't leave huge pit stains. To some extent, it's an issue. It's a malfunction of my own body because I sweat a lot. I am a very sweaty person, but at the same time, it's like I shouldn't have to choose between having no stains and smelling nice. You know, it's like I want to be able to have both. I'm a little greedy like that. I should probably start coloring this at some point today, huh? I fully expected this one to take a couple of streams, or maybe like finishing it off stream as well. I think it's reasonable and not greed. I appreciate that, thank you. That does make me feel very validated. Also, I should probably put these two on different layers. Come to think of it. Recently, I feel like my layering's been a little bit off base. Because sometimes I'll be layering stuff in ways that I feel make sense, but then it doesn't really work out. And other times it'll be like, I have layered this. Yeah, no, I think that's the main issue, is that I will layer stuff in a way that I think works, but then when it comes time to actually like use it, it's like, oh, this does not work at all. And naturally, it's a little bit of a bummer. I'm gonna drink some water. My layers are a disaster, but that's none of my business. That's the thing too, because like I don't have a workflow that necessitates clean layer management. Right, because I don't do live 2D stuff anymore, and that's the only one where layer management and their order and everything really mattered, because you would have to animate those layers individually, or in tandem, whatever. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. But if you're just exporting to PNG at the end of the day, then like, what the hell do you care if the layer ordering is completely busted? If it works, it works. Also, I'm realizing now that I forgot her eyebrow. Flatten. Precisely. I want to see if I can like get the color of the hair right without resorting to color picking. Something about this MV in particular is that it has... Oh, shoot. You know what? I think I missed a couple of like the piercings that they have on some of their ears. Also this... Oh, is that supposed to be like an Ouroboros? That's kind of cool. Actually, yeah, we can go back and do a little bit more work on this. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. One of the funniest threads that I've ever read is that's when somebody got really mad at somebody else in an internet argument and they said, "I'm gonna flat you alive." Which makes no sense as a thread, but it is a tremendously funny sentence. Because presumably they meant like, they're gonna flatten them like a bug or something. But I can't get over the idea of like all the different ways that there are to flatten someone in theory. Like, are you just gonna take away one of their dimensions? Is that it? You're gonna make bro operate on a second dimensional plane? Is that the vibe you're putting down? I don't know. I feel like we don't leverage enough of like dimensional threats, you know? like you could be like, I'm gonna put bro in a tesseract, and that's not really gonna like clock really as a threat. Okay, we can see a little bit of the left ear, or the right ear, I guess. And that one's got a couple of little, like, piercings like this. What about Mume? What's she got cooking? Okay, she's got, like, a little triangular one. Also, I'm realizing now that I've made her earlobe a little too fat. Let's just fix that real quick. Is that about it for piercings? I think so. I think the only other part is like her rune headpiece thing. At some point I really ought to try and learn to paint without using the bucket tool. But sadly I am... I am desperately reliant on it. What the heck was I doing? Right, okay, I need her references back up. Why? I think it's because it feels like coloring without paint bucket tool feels more free. Like, something that I've been thinking about a lot is like the agility of my workflow. Because, you know, it is a very well-established workflow, you know? You go line art, it goes line art, then fill tool, then shading. And that works for me pretty well. But but sometimes I see people who like have like a painterly style, or, you know, they just paint on top of stuff whenever, and it just feels so much more fluid. Like, it feels like they adapt much more quickly. And they can tweak whatever they're making much more quickly. And that's kind of what I mean by agility. That's kind of what intrigued me about it as well. I want to see how far I can get on cell shading alone, but at the same time, it's like... I should try to... Also, I am giving up a little bit on some of the color picking stuff. I'm just gonna go ahead and color pick now. But yeah, it just seems more fluid and more free form. I feel like the way that I approach it is a little bit too rigid, and that can have some negative effects on the final product. I also want to get more skilled at blending different styles of shading together because I like cell shading a lot, right? But I also know that there are a lot of benefits to doing like more painterly styles of shading, using the blending tool more. But the problem is that whenever I do that, it feels like it conflicts with the cell shading that I use. So I like to learn how to integrate those technologies, if possible. I think I'll finish up the flats and that's gonna be it for today, honestly. I feel like we've made some good progress on this piece and I can just finish it whenever. Oh yeah, I guess you would be able to see just the tiniest little peak of her eye back here, huh? I'd also like to try and experiment a little bit more with the textures involved in the painting this time around, because I remember that the Hachi MV had some really interesting texture work on that, you know, the original one. Well, the remake also has some interesting texture work, but the original MV used a lot of different textures on the characters to produce a very cool effect. I'd like to try and do something like that. You did really good. I love the clothes wrinkles that you do. Thank you! I'm also happy with the results. I don't know when I started like understanding clothes wrinkles, but I'm glad that I did eventually. Sometimes you just awaken and everything starts clicking. That's true, actually. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does happen, you do feel very powerful. Let's see. Bringing this over here. There's such a bare difference between the color of the jacket and the color of the zipper that I need to like double check sometimes to make sure that I'm using the right color. The shading's gonna make a huge difference in differentiating them though. Okay. Oh, I didn't color in the zipper bit down here. Let's do that real quick. And save our work. Alright. Time to flip this around, and then we're gonna work on Mume. Right on. I do think that I do really like the color of Mumei's hair. It's a very nice, pleasant brown tone. But I really like the kind of orange shock that they put at the bottom of it here. I should make it a little bit darker as well. Just as a baseline so that the orange pops out a little bit better. Yep, that looks about right. I think I might have accidentally gotten some of the t-shirt, though. Are they supposed to be based on an L? Yep. 100%. The owl. Love this beast. The owl. I do really like owls, actually. I don't know, they're funny critters for what are supposed to be apex predators. They're kind of like, in the same way that like cats are really funny because they're like hyper-efficient predators stuck in a really tiny body. Owls are really funny because they're like hyper-efficient predators stuck inside a bird. Which, I don't know, it feels very like, birds are some of the most successful predators on Earth, but it feels very difficult to conceptualize them as such. Like I know that birds are really good at hunting, and I know that birds are very good at like eating stuff, but like they're just little guys. They're little feathery silly guys. They're cute. They are cute. You can't really get a glimpse of the iron here, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use the same color as the charm on Kromei. The tiny little shorts are still killing me. Like what the like these shorts look like you could pick them out at like a random sports outlet store. I don't know. They clash with the vibe of the outfit in a way that I find really funny. I don't know. Maybe it's because like it's a lot of earth tones, and you know, because of that, you expect the kind of bottoms to also match that. But for some reason, like earth tones with like shorts just feels wrong. It looks like they use more of like a darker metal for the hair clips. Let's go with this. Okay. I remember I actually had to grab the ordinary reference PNG because I forgot like how intensely yellow her eyes are. That looks more orange. Let's flip that a couple stations up on the color wheel. I think I should maybe remove some of the little eye bag marks from the eyes here. I feel like she looks a little too haunted. We can work some more on the hair shading next time. Or, you know, maybe another time. But for now, let's just add some really quick and dirty bits to it. I didn't even notice that it had, like, these little gaps here. What's up with that? They must have happened when I wasn't looking. Oh yeah, and the part in the blue hair, in the hair vents. Can't forget that. That's a pretty good start, if I do say so myself. Alright. Is anybody streaming today? It's always, okay, I'm done for now. Wait, hold up, hold on! Well, I don't really have a plan sometimes. It's like, it's sometimes I'm just more or less wrapped up and then it's time to, it's go time. Oh, Warrior's debuting a new model. Let's go say hi to them. Alright, in the meantime, yeah, enjoy the rest of your weekend. I hope you have a lovely Saturday and a lovely Sunday, and I will see you all later. Bye.